The sun is still shining brightly. Let's look at the defense. In left field, Greg Luzinski of the Phillies. He shouldn't have much sun trouble. Over in center field, however, it might get a little more difficult as George Foster will be playing in center. George Foster, that's a change in center field. Moving over into right field, which is the most difficult because Rick Mundy has been put there now, and Rick will be looking literally into the sun on a high fly ball hit out to him. Coming into the infield at third base, who else? Pete Rose. Standing there visiting with Whitey Herzog, who's coaching at third base for the American League. The shortstop, Larry Boa of the Philadelphia Phillies. Everything in the world has been said about him. He's as good as anybody, and here's one of the great pros of all time, Joe Morgan, Cincinnati, at second base. Over at first base, wearing some 20-plus stitches in his chin after a Bob Welch fastball nipped him there the other day in Houston. Steve Garvey behind the plate. Newest member of the St. Louis Art Museum Board of Directors, Ted Simmons. And out on the mound with a record of 12-4, Vida Blue. This is Keith Jackson along with Howard Cosell and Don Drysdale. And we are ready to go with the 1978 All-Star Game. Rod Carew will lead off, George Brett will follow, and Jim Rice, the third hitter for the American League, would be Richie Sis. And the first pitch, Blue, hits the target.
Well, certainly, Keith, these American League hitters are no strangers to Vida Blue. He just left them, it seems like, a few months ago.
Kind of interesting the point you made some time back that he was the winning pitcher. I guess the last time the American League won. Pete Rose in on the grass at third. Rod Carew, the top vote getter, with more than 4 million ballots cast by the baseball public, fouled away. Starting his 12th consecutive All-Star game, Don Zimmer, Boston Red Sox manager, coaching at first. Kansas City boss Whitey Herzog at third. Don Zimmer has never coached at first base at any time in his entire life. Ball is hit out to left center field, and on the run, it's Foster. Can't get it. Carew doesn't care whether it's All-Star game or whether it's Minnesota. He's going for 3, and he will be there with a triple.
Should surprise nobody. He was the top vote getter. He's the best hitter incontestably in baseball since Williams and Musial. Look at it again.
He got the curveball up over the plate. He hit it to the alley. George Foster could not chase it down. Now, here's what a great base runner Carew is. He sees it. Foster throws it to nobody. There's nobody there. It's throwing it all the way to third base, and he just goes from second to third and makes it easily.
Obviously, smart baseball man, he saw the lack of a cutoff there and took the liberty. And George Brett is at the plate. Carew in 10 All-Star games, 3 for 27, all singles. So as he comes to his 12th, he's suddenly opening up a new page. Brett sharply, left center field, base hit. Carew scores. American leads 1-0. As Brett going for 2, the throw is off Morgan. Blue backs him up and holds Brett at second. A triple and a double for the American League to start the game.
It seems a long time ago, Don, that I mentioned that the absences of Jackson, Yastrzemski, and Munson had drawn this team more closely together. But that's the fact, and quickly the American League evidences it.
Well, you're talking about a manager that has as much pride as anybody in the game of baseball, and that's Billy Martin. I'm sure that they had a little clubhouse meeting, and they talked about, boys, we have been embarrassed, and that's the word that they used in the paper. Over the last 15 years, we have only won one time. Let's go do something, and they've got off on the right track.
Here's Rod Carew, having scored the first run of the ball game after an opening triple doubled home by George Brett. The batter is Jim Rice. Brett at second, nobody out. Top of the first inning.
Keith, I think we ought to point out that the starting players in the All-Star game must play the first 3 innings. Now, that is excluding the pitcher. Should Vida Blue start getting racked around, they will not make him stay in there, but your regular starters are supposed to play, and that's if they stay away from any injury, of course.
There's Billy. The rule you just stated was not always the rule. If you go back to the beginning of this, the whole series, 1933, conceived by Arch Ward, and you'll see that Goofy Gomez pitched 5 innings.
There's a strike. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Vida Blue greeted by Carew's triple, Brett's double, American League breaking on top 1-0. Rice hits it on the ground to Morgan. Joe in the sunshine looks at Brett go to third and throws out. Jim Rice 1 away.
Well, there's a case in point, all-star game or what have you. Here's Jim Rice, a run in, Brett at second base. Here's the man that's leading the major leagues in home runs and RBIs. He gives himself up to hit the ball to the right side to get his man to third. And I'll tell you, that's a little something right there for Mr. Rice.
Here is a guy who can deliver. Richie Zisk of the Texas Rangers checks, and he takes a breaking pitch in there a little low. Richie with 13 home runs.
Getting back quickly to what you said about Jim Rice, he has frequently stated all he wants is to be recognized as a complete ball player.
Fouled at the plate.
Well, there was a case in point right there, hitting that ball to the right side to move Brett to third. A good play.
Zisk started the season as a designated hitter at Texas, then to right field, back to DH, then to left field when Al Oliver got hurt. He has knocked across 51 runs, and George Brett waiting at third with 1 out. Just off the plate.
Richie does not look like the Zisk of a year ago, at least in physical construction. He has taken off a lot of weight, has the trim look of an athlete now.
Up high, Zisk is on. That will bring to the plate with runners at first and third, Carlton Fisk. And Carlton Fisk's bat has been getting a little warmer as Morgan comes to the mound to talk to Vida. The Boston catcher, as you see, in his 6th All-Star game. Let's see if Carlton can pull blue.
If he was in Fenway Park, you know he could pull blue.
73 degrees as we start the ball game. And Carlton rolls it foul to the right.
This game is very important to Carlton Fisk. Why? His rivalry with Thurman Munson through the years. This is his 6th All-Star appearance, as the public address announcer noted a few moments ago.
Ball is hit in the air to the right side. Rick Monday coming. Joe Morgan going back, and Morgan makes the catch. The throw will not be in time. Sliding in from third base is George Brett. And the American League leads 2-0 with Steve Rogers warming up in the bullpen for the National League. That was a heck of a play by Joe Morgan defensively.
Well, there's a good play by Morgan and a very heads-up play by the runner at third, Brett, and his manager, Whitey Herzog. If Morgan makes the play, Brett goes. If Monday makes a play, he does not go, because Monday's coming to the plate. The man makes a play going away in the shallow right field, and he scores easily.
Right on the button, Twindy.
Monday couldn't see it, nor reach it, and Fred Lynn is at the plate. That is a tough sun this time of the day.
This is the Sun Field in right field here in San Diego, and you'll get a little bit in center field, but I'm sure that's why Tommy Lasorda changed outfield.
Lynn swings through it. Base runner going. Through. And Richie Zisk is thrown out by Ted Simmons. After the top half of the first inning, 2-0 American League. He has not forgotten it.
Had a long talk with Jim today. At lunchtime, he said a very tired pitcher in the stadium game a year ago. He takes this game seriously, too. I talked to him about the fact that some had suggested that manager Martin was saving his own man, Ron Guidry. And as you look at Billy, and Palmer said, no, I heard him say that Ron has lost some velocity and been a slightly tired pitcher in recent efforts, and I buy that. The important thing is I am a rested pitcher, and I want to go against this league. Make up for a year ago.
And he works to Pete Rose. Joe Morgan, George Foster. The fourth man would be Greg Luzinski. That funny chicken you saw in the dugout is called Super Chicken in real life. Underneath all that fuzz, Ted Janulis.
Travels the country with Don Drysdale. Had become a great actor.
He's a little like the frantic Philly we have seen in Met Stadium in Philadelphia. Palmer to Rose. Strike one. The American League getting 2 in the top of this inning.
Pete Rose carries a 25-game hitting streak into this game. He's got his stroke. Had a bad start, but has really returned to the Pete Rose everyone knows.
Outside, seemed in the batting cage. He was hitting the ball so solid yesterday in the workout, and again today. Just nailed it, one after another. Right center. Fred Lynn runs it down. One away. Hit it again on the nose.
Interestingly enough, the absence of Reggie Jackson, who, as we explained, is in fact running a fever of over 102 degrees. His absence gives Billy Martin a center fielder who plays the position, and most professionally and sophisticatedly Fred Lynn. So in a defensive sense, the American League may have prospered by Reggie's illness.
Joe Morgan takes strike. The outfield defensively for the American League. Jim Rice in left, Fred Lynn in center, Richie Zisk in right. With George Brett at third, Freddie Patek at short, Don Money at second, Rod Carew at first, Carlton Fisk catching. The coaches for the National League, Chuck Tanner of the Pittsburgh Pirates at third, and Danny Ozark, the manager of the Philadelphia Phillies, at first. One out, the pitch to Morgan. Strike two. Manager of the National League, Tom Lasorda.
Great relationship in real fact between Lasorda and Martin. Press conference yesterday, as you look at Rick Monday right in front of Tommy, Martin told Lasorda, "You don't have a chance." Lasorda said, "That being the case, I have nothing to say."
Morgan strikes out looking. 2 down for the National League. This telecast presented by authority of Major League Baseball, intended solely for the private non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of the game without the express written consent of Major League Baseball is prohibited. The batter is George Foster, 302, 18 home runs, 63 runs batted in.
Can't understand how Cincinnati ever gave up Frank Duffy for this fella.
Can't understand how San Francisco ever let him get away. One strike pitch to George. The umpires in tonight's ball game. Back of the plate, it is Paul Pryor of the National League, Nestor Shilak of the American League at first, Terry Tata, National League second, Bill Deegan, American League third. Foster fouls it away. Down the left field line, Paul Runge of the National League, and down the right field line, Larry McCoy of the American League. 6 umpires.
7 20-game seasons. What a pitcher.
In the first inning against the National League. After 1 complete, 2-0 American League leads. Ida Blue reached for a triple by Carew. Sacrifice fly. American League leads. Strike 1.
Reverting back to that first inning, 2 left-handers in a row got extra base hits off Ida Blue.
Well, Vida was quoted in the paper saying that in his last 3 starts during the regular season, he just has not felt that good on the mound. He's lost a little rhythm.
But the American League played Billy Martin baseball in that first inning. The way George Brett ran to force the double. The way Jim Rice hit to the right side to give himself up. And then the way Brett came in on the fly to Joe Morgan. Venturesome baseball.
Steve Rogers has sit down in the National League bullpen. Montreal right-hander. Lynn pulls the trigger and misses, and he's gone. 2, strikes out Lynn. He will pitch now to Don Money of the Milwaukee Brewers, who have become quite a baseball story themselves in 1978.
They really have, and this young man is an integral part of that story. But most importantly, he's played all but 12 games at first base this year.
Takes a strike.
Yet under the voting system, he's elected the All-Star second baseman, which raises some eyebrows.
Sharp shot foul into the crowd. Burns some fingers and it ricochets out. Jim Palmer waiting in the dugout after a very impressive beginning. Foul back in the seats.
Drysdale gets up in the booth, moves around a little, the ball getting distressingly close.
They foul it up here. I'll tell you, they got something on it.
I think it's the stool getting hard. Swing and a miss. And Don Money is gone. Cindy Garvey, wife of Steve, Dodger first baseman.
Number 2, Fred Potter, shortstop.
Responsible for the patch on Steve's chin. He really took a whack there. He came right back the next day, though, and ripped a double.
Had 20 stitches taken in his chin.
Fred Potter.
Cindy was only worried about Steve's teeth. Watch closely to see if they would turn blue, the telltale sign of loss.
1-1 to Fred Patek. You were mentioning the selection system. The Kansas City shortstop. This game, first time he has been chosen by the baseball public. He said right up front, if the public had not voted him the trip to the All-Star game, he would not have come. Goes back to a relatively bad experience in 1972. He was told he had been selected for the team, then was taken off. And he chops one for a base hit. So little Freddie is on at first base.
Well, they introduced Freddie Patek as the smallest man on the All-Star squad. He might be the smallest man, that's true, but I'll guarantee you he's got one of the biggest hearts.
I think one of the best pictures I've ever seen was during the playoffs last year, covered by NBC, when Patek was shown sitting in the dugout after the elimination by the Yankees, all alone, isolated, the whole agony of defeat, as Jim McKay would say, typified by the picture.
The pitcher, Jim Palmer, puts it down. Blue has it, throws to first. So the inning is over as the American League strands a base runner, but they lead the game after 1.5, 2-0. Greg Luzinski of the Phillies, Steve Garvey of the Dodgers, Ted Simmons of the Cardinals will be the three batters. The fourth man would be Rick Monday of the Dodgers. Greg Luzinski, 21 home runs, 55 runs batted in. Yesterday in batting practice, he hit the ball above the level of the stadium, it seemed, and into the second deck in left field. Powerful man.
He put on quite a show, Keith, as you know, and he hit a couple of them out there, and he had the people here, 30,000 plus. He had them oohing and on.
And he was taking them out in the second deck at 370. The dimensions are 330 down the line as he swings and misses at a Palmer fastball. Now, look at this as we pull back to give you an idea. He not only was hitting it there, but he was hitting it way up into the air and dropping it softly. That's strike 2, but he hasn't touched Palmer yet. It's 370 left and right and 420 straightaway center here in San Diego. Pulled the string, took something off of it, missed inside, ball 1. 1-2 to Luzinski. Rogers is in the National League pen. Steve may be the next pitcher. Montreal right-hander who's pitched in hard luck. Pulls a string again. Luzinski loops it into left field. First base hit of the ball game for the National League.
Okay, Steve Garvey coming up. We've mentioned the patch on his chin. And for that story, here's my talk with Steve Garvey. I love that star on your Band-Aid, Steve. What's the point?
Well, Howard, a lot of times guys say, well, you use the glove so well, why don't you try something else? Well, I tried to catch the ball with my chin, and it doesn't work, believe me. So I'm going back to the glove from now on.
22 stitches, and yet here you are playing in the All-Star game. Why?
Well, Harry, just as we talked before, I think that the Baseball All-Star Game is so important to me, especially being a writing candidate in 1974 and playing in the ensuing 4 years. When fans take the time to vote for somebody, vote for myself, there's no way that I'm going to stay away. I had the mumps in 74 and I played, and a little old 22-stitch cut isn't going to keep me from playing again this year.
It's kind of a fellow he is, too. Pitch is high from Palmer, and the count on Steve Garvey. 2 balls and no strikes. His 5th All-Star game. 4.62 average.
Keith, that base hit that Luzinski got just shows you his strength. He got a curveball actually inside and just jammed himself terribly, but was strong enough just to fight it off of him.
Palmer comes high again to Garvey to make it 3 balls and no strike. That's Mrs. Luzinski on the left and Mrs. Larry Boa on the right. Garvey is on. So the National League now getting some activity against Palmer. Luzinski singles. Garvey walks. It will bring to the plate Ted Simmons of the St. Louis Cardinals.
Well, the one thing about Palmer, he has been throwing well. He showed good velocity. But at the very offset, he got Morgan on a high fastball. He got to strike out. He got Foster on a high breaking pitch. He tried to hold up. He has been up. And now he got the high curveball to Luzinski, who I just said fought it off of him. And he walks Garvey on high fastball. So he is up.
He had 2 quick strikes on Luzinski, throwing the fastball. And he switched, changed his speed and threw the curve, and it cost him.
Ted Simmons, his 5th All-Star appearance. The catcher, tough man at the plate. Infield is up. The pitch is high. Johnny Bench was voted by the fans as the starting catcher. He has had back trouble for better than a month. I have a telegram from Johnny Bench that says, "Give my thanks to all my fans who voted for me. I deeply regret not being able to perform as their selection to the National League All-Star standards. As a result, I hope the short rest will be a stepping stone for a healthy and productive second half of the season." That pitch is fouled away. And thus become worthy of their recognition. Sign, your friend, Johnny Bench.
He's got a lot of class. And so does this fellow at the plate, Ted Simmons. I think maybe the most underpublicized exceptional hitter in baseball. And he stood up before us yesterday and he said, "I appreciate what Johnny Bench is and what he's meant to the game, but I believe I deserve to be here this year." And on the record, he's right.
You saw that little note at the bottom. He's the first St. Louis Cardinal catcher to start an All-Star game since Walker Cooper. Walker Cooper.
Matt Keogh in the American League bullpen. Shot. Oh, hit pretty near field. Nestor Shilak, the first base umpire. Nestor almost pulled a hamstring getting out of the way. Foul ball.
Love to watch Ted Simmons hit. There's Keogh, Matt Keogh, son of Marty Keogh, major leaguer back in the 50s, late 50s. Marty's here, so proud of his boy.
You know he's got to be here, and he should be proud. There's a young man who had just started pitching a year and a half ago. He was an infielder.
1-2 pitch. Simmons takes it just outside. 2-2.
Just to show you how old Don Drysdale is, there's another father and son combination here. Ray Boone, the old Detroit Tiger, his son Bob Boone, Philadelphia catcher, a member of the National League All-Stars.
2 on, nobody out. National League's first threat of the game. Luzinski off second, Garvey off first. 2-2 pitch to Simmons, fouled away. Sun going down. Shadow problem still is obvious, and so is the sun problem as Billy Martin looks on. Keogh warming up in the American bullpen. Steve Rogers in the National bullpen. The highest price ticket west of the Rockies on this night is a ticket to this event. Got in. Palmer was up. But Simmons went for that high hard one and didn't get it. 1 out.
And coming up, Keith, another of those guys who doesn't get a lot of ink, but he can kill you. Rick Monday, player of the month, the first month of the season, hitting more home runs than he ever has on a pro rata basis thus far this year. Tough ball player. Arizona State.
Rick in right field defensively. He has a sore arm, having banged into a wall. Probably won't play a whole lot. With one out, Luzinski on second and Garvey at first in the American League, leading in the bottom of the second inning by a score of 2-0. Palmer trying to put out the fire. There's Luzinski at second, and Garvey's over at first. Inside.
It doesn't appear that Palmer is going to go too much with his breaking pitch. He's been hurt a couple of times. He's got it up. He's been throwing mainly fastballs.
Except for the 2 to Luzinski.
There's the strike.
What a cute kid. That's Rick Monday's little boy. At that age, when the teeth go, and it becomes a source of pride to show the vacant space.
At that age.
Yeah.
1-1 to Monday.
This is one of Palmer's great strengths, because Jim, when he's throwing well and he can pitch up and that ball just takes off on you, and for any hitter, they'll tell you it is just awful hard to lay off of that high fastball.
Make it 1-2 on Monday. Larry Boa is on deck. Never found.
He took a little bit off the curveball, and Monday just spoiling the pitch.
Could very well get a hitter for Vida Blue if Tom Lasorda decides he's got opportunity to get something going with 1 out and 2 on, and Boa waiting on deck. So we'll see what Rick can do and what Larry can do and what happens. 1-2 pitch. Hit to the third baseman. Brett over to second, one back to first. Double play. And so the double play gets the American League out of hot water. They still lead it 2-0 after 2.
Good. Baseball's greatest hitter, Rod Carew, wanted to be traded, wants to be with a winner. Didn't work out. His average has fallen heavily since. I talked to Rod about it. Rod, ever since all the turmoil about whether or not you'd be traded, you having expressed the desire to be traded, your average has fallen 40 points. Is there a relationship between the two facts?
Well, you know, Howard, I think for about a month, you know, I had a real bad attitude. My mental outlook was pretty bad, and I think it's hard for any ball player to go out there and concentrate and doing his job, you know, when he has so many things on his mind. All I can do now is just go ahead and try and have a good second half and try and raise my average a few more points.
So Rod Carew leads off the top of the order for the American League in the top of the third inning, with George Brett and Jim Rice to follow.
Keith, you know what's scary? You're talking about Carew's average dropping. He's only hitting 349.
Well, he's in a slump. That's what he... That's his trophy as the top vote getter. When he's in a slump, that fella.
High to left center. Foster going. Hit deep. Way back. It is off the wall. George blocks it. Carew turns second. Heading for his second successive triple. He's got it.
What a header. Southpaws really kill him, don't they?
Blue got the pitch up again, and look at Carew, what power he has to the opposite field. The breaking pitch is up, and now Foster actually trails the ball. He loses perspective of where he is between the ball and the wall. He'll look down again. He gives up, but he has a chance to make the catch. That hits at the base of the wall. Carew, as we said before, just an excellent base runner. This time he hits the cutoff man, but no chance.
George Brett sends Foster deep to the track, to the wall. The tag by Carew, and he easily scores after that long drive by Brett, and the American League leads 3-0. 26 times players have tripled in all-star games, but nothing in the record books tells you about people who have hit 2 successive triples. Now Rod Carew occupies another space all by himself.
As a piece of perhaps relevant trivia, as this first pitch comes in and is fouled off, Jim Rice has gone crazy hitting triples. He's had 5 in 5 games, and if you go back in the record books, you'll see he may be encroaching upon a fellow named Crawford.
The Sun field. Monday comes in, calls off Morgan, makes the catch. That's 2 down. The batter, Richie Zisk.
That's a most happy fellow. Rod Carew. Slumped it to 349, as Don noted. He'll get back up to 375. If past his prologue or precursor, let me say.
Zisk fouls it away. I don't know about some people why they put their chew of tobacco in one cheek or another, but Rod Carew puts his in his right cheek because he says it pulls that side of his face tight. He can see better. And if you believe that, but that's what he said. Ball hit to left, base hit by Zisk. Zisk singles. Zisk is scheduled, and the National bullpen is quiet.
Number 27, Carlton Fisk, catcher.
Fisk his first time at a sacrifice fly, just deep enough to get the run home. So he has an RBI. Strike 1. 3-0, the American League leading in the top of the 3rd. Low. Vida Blue and Jim Hunter have allowed 4 home runs in all-star games. That's the most by any pitchers, with Bench, Aaron, Garvey, and Wynn having homered off Vida. Of that group, only Garvey is here. So far, no changes for either team. They'll be coming shortly. Rolled on the ground to Boa. Over to second one. And that's all they need. And the inning is over. The American League picks up 1 more run to lead after 2.5 innings of play, 3-0.
Clean. I mean, really clean. And it holds any set I want.
New beer-enriched shampoo, Body on Tap, gives your hair super body, super hold.
Brewed with 1/3 real beer.
Wow.
But don't drink it. Just shampoo. Whether I roll it, pin it, curl it, or blow it dry. It gives my hair super body, super hold.
And the shine of your life. It's the beer shampoo that does it in 3 bodybuilding formulas.
That's body.
On Tap.
Polaroid's got a new SX70 film that develops twice as fast now and gives you their most brilliant colors ever. What's that one?
Red,
And that?
yellow,
Good. How about that?
purple.
Purple?
Isn't that purple?
Yeah, that's purple. You can't beat Polaroid's color, and you get it with 1 step. Simplest camera in the world. Just press the button, and a motor hands it to you.
That's my friend.
Get a 1 step.
You know what traveler's checks are for. Traveling. But did you ever think how valuable they could be right around home for those unexpected times you find yourself without cash? Here's a suggestion. When you come back from a trip, save your last American Express traveler's check. Stick it in your wallet and leave it there. Now you've got emergency money when you need it. And it's safe money. If you should lose it, you can get it back. American Express traveler's checks. Save one, because someday it could save you.
for his third inning of pitching with a 3-0 lead. The American over the National. It'll be Larry Boa for the National League, the Philadelphia shortstop. Terry Poole, outfielder for the Houston Astros, seen swinging a bat. But Reggie Smith now has come to the on-deck circle. So it'll be Smith, not Poole, batting for Vita Blue, and then Pete Rose is scheduled at the top of the order. Here's Reggie, the right fielder for Los Angeles.
Leading off the National League, hitting eight, number 10, shortstop, Larry Boa.
Boa up for the first time in the ball game. Jim Palmer has allowed one hit. A single by Luzinski, a little soft one that dropped into left off a curveball thrown to the hands. He walked Garvey, then got a double play to get him out of trouble. Foul to the left side. Steve Rogers of Montreal in the National League bullpen, warming up. That 11-7 record and that 2.13 ERA tell you that the young man has pitched in tough luck. Stroked to the right side, and it drops. And so Larry Boa drops it in no man's land, and he's aboard with a single. Second hit off Jim Palmer.
For the National League, pitch hitting for the pitcher Blue.
Now here is Reggie Smith, the Dodger right fielder, who hits with more power from the left side.
Not bad in all-star competition. The graphic, as you just saw, explaining itself, and not bad during this season. An exceptional last season. And a major factor in the World Series. Gave the Yankees fits. This is a complete ball player. Reggie Smith.
Strike from Palmer. Boa on first. Nobody out. 3-0 American League. Bottom of the third inning. Time called a moment. Loose baseball rolls out on the field from the bullpen. The pitch is high to Reggie. 1-1. Rogers for the National League, Keogh for the American League. Keogh figures to be the next American League pitcher. Young right-hander from the Oakland A's, and the pitch from Palmer to Smith is low. 2-1. Don Zimmer, I saw him walking around yesterday without that big chaw of tobacco in his mouth, and it didn't even look like the same fella.
That's right. His wife was with him, and she forbids him in her presence.
I was kidding Zim. I was kidding him in the clubhouse or in the hotel lobby yesterday. I said, you know, you might end up the same way, the same distance between you and that second place club if you don't think. And he says, I'm not going to.
There goes Boa. The pitch swung on and missed. The throw back missed, not in time.
Boa had the base easily stolen on Jim Palmer. You could all see the jump he had.
Smith strikes out.
Well, you see the big high leg kick of Jim Palmer. Boa, an excellent base runner. Freddie Patek just satisfied to make the catch of the ball. Hold him there. There's the jump. And he gets going, and he can accelerate. Boy, this little guy has been a great key to that Philadelphia ball club.
Larry has stolen 16 this season, only been caught 3 times. Here's Pete Rose now, found with the National League with a runner in scoring position. Rose hit a shot to center fielder Fred Lynn his first time up.
Wasn't it Larry Boa who got his teammates together, Gary Maddox and others, when the Phils were slumping earlier in the year? We came in for a Monday night game, and he said, let's just force it. Let's run, run, run.
There's a night Gary Maddox had such a big night.
That's right.
All over the place. 1-1 as Palmer hits hits the corner.
Gretchen Martin, the American League skipper's bride. And there he is.
As we've said so many times, an altogether different man on the field than he is off the field.
Pitch to Rose. Foul. Late. It was Rose who took the starting lineup for the National League to the plate tonight instead of Tom Lasorda. There is a considerable degree of admiration between Tom Lasorda and Pete Rose. But then few athletes have ever said anything but complimentary things about Rose and the way he plays his game. Pursues, I think perhaps is a fair word, his profession.
He had his young son yesterday in the clubhouse, and they were kidding him about 14 and 14B.
Roll to the right side. Ball is gloved by Carew. Over to Palmer. They get Rose. Boa goes to third. 2 out.
Well, you had to look at Billy Martin. There's Carew isolated.
Just a little topper, a little half swing by Rose, but there it is. And there's the case of all-star players. Carew, Jim Palmer. That's not just a routine play. Palmer had to get to the bag stop because he knows he's got the speedy Boa at second base. If he runs across the bag and forgets about Boa, well, it might be a 3-1 ball game.
At the plate, Joe Morgan, who's had trouble with the pulled stomach muscle for some time. Little Joe. Obviously, when he's not healthy, the big red machine doesn't roll too swiftly. With Morgan and Bench both laid up, how can you lose 2 people like that and continue to win?
Sparky will find a way.
But he's still right there, isn't he? Blowing away. 2 balls, no strikes with 2 out. Larry Boa is at third base. American League leads 3-0. National League at bottom of the 3rd inning. Way up.
That's as high as Carlton Fisk could reach from that position that he was in. See Jim Palmer, little laugh and smile. See Fisk, he's got to go as high as he can go and just loses his balance. Kind of Paul Pryor is
setting his lap.
That's right. Keeping him upright.
So Palmer walks Morgan, asks for another baseball.
And the home run king of the major leagues a year ago comes to the plate, representing the tying run. Bottom of the 3rd inning. 2 men out. National League trailing 3-0.
Billy Martin goes to the mound to talk to Jim Palmer for a moment.
And let's go down to Bob Uecker, who has Vida Blue with him.
We're sitting here chatting with Vida Blue, having just left the All-Star game, and Vida, kind of a tough start in the All-Star game. How do you get Rod Carew out? Has he changed since your days in the American League at all?
No, he has. It's been a while since I've seen him, and he's still the same old Rod. But I think the key to my 3 innings was that I got the ball up, and which is a plus because I wasn't even getting it over the plate in my last 3 starts. I've really been struggling. But even though I gave up 3 runs in All-Star competition, you're competing against the best stars in another league. So just being able to throw the ball over the plate is a plus right now because I really hadn't panicked over the last 3 ball games that I had pitched, but you know, I was given big early leads in the ball games, and I ended up not even completing. I've completed 1 of the 3, so I won 2 of the 3. So you know, that's a plus itself. But you know, when you're struggling like that, you want to find yourself, and I'm not just really going to push a panic button because there are 1 or 2 things that I can do to correct the whole thing.
Okay, let's go back upstairs.
All right, Bob, thank you very much. The book on Vida: 3 innings, 3 earned runs, 5 hits, struck out 2, walked 1. Now Jim Palmer will pitch to George Foster, and he fouls it back. One of the things George enjoys about all-star competition is the fact that he gets a chance to look at some of the best pitchers in baseball, forcing him, obviously, into certain adjustments each time he comes to the plate against another Craftsman. And he's against a Craftsman right now, Jim Palmer. Outfield very deep. Whoa!
There it is again. He's going to keep using that pitch till Fisk misses it.
Pudge is pretty quick. Paul Pryor's going to give him a little more room. He's getting tired of Pudge sitting in his lap. Larry Boy is still at third. Joe Morgan at first. You've got 2 out. 3-0 American League lead. National with its biggest threat of the game. And Foster takes it high and tight. 2-1.
He's really up there, isn't he, Don?
Pudge is going to have about a sleeve size of about 16 inches on one arm, and on the left arm he's going to be about 17 and a half before this is over.
Holding Morgan close at first. I don't know if Joe will run much, not with that sore stomach muscle. He's trying to get himself ready for the second half. Up high. 3-1, and Palmer can't seem to get it down in the strike zone.
That is maybe one of the most exasperating feelings that a person could have, and especially a major league pitcher.
Ever happened to you?
Not wild high that much, but just being wild when you're trying to figure out some kind of Kentucky windage to get that thing in the strike zone.
And you still got to be careful because of the caliber of the hitter against you.
You better believe it.
The home run king of the big leagues.
Bases are loaded with 2 out, and the batter is Greg Luzinski.
In the bullpen.
Well, he's been throwing because he's just about ready.
2 out, bases loaded. 3-0 American League. Greg Luzinski at the plate. He got the first hit off Palmer. He fouls this one away.
Isn't that interesting? Never a grand slam home run in an all-star game. There was a game in Detroit in 1941. The National League leading by 2 runs. 2 out, 2 men on. Bottom of the 9th. Ted Williams up, out of the ballpark, over the right field stands. That was a 3-run homer, but never a grand slam.
High and tight. And it's 1-1. Program and exclusive presentation of ABC Sports. Let's pause 5 seconds to allow our local stations to identify themselves.
This is Television 2, KATU Portland.
1-1 pitch coming to Luzinski. It is 2-1. American League leading 3-0 with Larry Boy at third base, Joe Morgan at second base, George Foster at first base. 2 out. The National League with a considerable threat in Greg Luzinski at the plate. Advantage Luzinski at 2-1. 3-1.
He simply continues to be wild high. He can't get the ball down. This is a good way to dig a grave. 2 consecutive walks in the wake of Larry Boa's opening single, with a strikeout of Reggie Smith sandwiched in between, plus a ground out by Pete Rose. Carew to Palmer.
3-1. 3-2, and Luzinski probably took a swing at ball 4.
Now take another look at it, and that's why it's so hard for those power hitters or any hitter, and it was ball 4. That is a National League ball the world over.
also up in your eyes like that with a big horse up there like him. He figured I might lose it. And he might have, but he did not. And it's 3-2. Bases loaded. 2 out. Ball 4. It's a 3-1 ball game. Palmer has now walked 3 in a row.
So that's a run batted in for Luzinski. Boa trots over.
Jim Palmer is not out of the woods yet because Steve Garvey is at the plate.
Well, Keith, you talked about having fun at the very offset, and of course you do have fun at All-Star games. Right now, the fun is gone for Jim Palmer. This is not fun. This is now work, and it's pride at stake out there. You can just bet your bottom dollar on that.
Bases are still loaded, and Garvey, they'll appeal it. They ask Shylock, and it's strike.
And the fun's gone for that man, Billy Martin, too. Interestingly, this time when Palmer pitched to Luzinski, he did not go to the curveball. Everything was fast. Everything was high.
You just can't afford to make a mistake on these guys. There's no easy man in this lineup.
Garvey hits it sharply, left field, base hit. Here comes Morgan to the plate. Here comes Foster to the plate. He scores. The game is even at 3.
So with 22 stitches in his chin, Garvey, who's gotten a look at Billy Martin, trying to decide right now what to do, whether to take Palmer out. But Garvey, who gets so much publicity in so many directions, some rip him as the model boy who's studiously mannered. Others, like Keith and myself, feel that this is a terrific young man. What he is a terrific ball player. He comes through again.
2 runs batted in for Garvey. They throw to third base just in case Morgan had left too soon. And you've got to do that because they're not going to give it to you. And the batter, Ted Simmons.
And Billy Martin going to the mound, and that'll be all for Jim Palmer. Billy was hoping that Palmer could get out of this inning. He does not want to have to bring in young Matt Keogh in a situation like this, but that's what he has to do. He's got to try and get out of the inning, Keith.
So time is out in this 49th All-Star game. The score tied at 3-3. We'll be right back. Beach, California. He's 6'2", 175 pounds. He's 6'4". Dad, Marty Keogh, former Red Sox outfielder. Right now, Bob Uecker is with Jim Palmer.
Well, Jimmy had a easy first 2 innings, and all of a sudden things left you got kind of high.
Well, you're right. I was throwing the ball hard, but I just had trouble getting the ball down. And my mistake, of course, is Boa got a kind of a ball off the fist. And, you know, you have Morgan coming up with 2 outs, and you want to throw him a strike, but you don't want to give him something good to hit. And I just got behind him, and then you got George Foster coming up. And obviously, you want to pitch very carefully to him. And then that's followed by Luzinski, which doesn't make it any easier. And then I made a real bad pitch to Steve Garvey. It was just a slider. It was kind of like the slider he hit for the home run last year in the All-Star game. And it's the only really mistake I made tonight, other than walking all those guys.
Well, 3-3 ball game back upstairs.
The batter is Ted Simmons to face the young Oakland right-hander. One other note on Garvey, he's now hit safely in 5 straight All-Star games as Keogh is outside. The National League record of 6 consecutive games. Musial, Mays, and Bench. The American League record 7 by Mantle. There's a strike. It's 1-1.
And there's the little Scroogey that this young man has. And I said before, Keith, that this kid right here, Matt Keogh, has pitched only about a year and a half. Well, maybe 2 years, including half of this year. And I'll tell you, he pitches out there like he's been around 15 years. Strike 2. You see him turn that ball over and sink away from the left-hand hitter.
Low, that was the key.
Watch it again. Look at him turn it over. Just comes out, stays on top. Great pitch, great location.
Flanagan is now in the bullpen for the American League, a left-hander. Up and coming back crowd. Carlton Fisk can't get to it. Count is 1-2. The National League with 3 runs in the bottom of the 3rd inning to tie, chasing Jim Palmer. Still 2 out. Luzinski is at second base. Garvey is at first base. There's Greg and there's Steve. Outside. Those people you see in the background there are in a camera well back of home plate, a considerable distance away from home plate. It is not disconcerting to the pitcher because they are so far away. It's the foreshortening of the lens that makes them look a little closer to you. Roller might be a big pot of trouble. It is. Base hit, Simmons. Bases are loaded again.
Check swing hit. Great for the National League.
Well, they had no chance whatsoever as you look at Luzinski at third and Garvey at second base. At first base, along with Philadelphia manager Danny Ozark, Ted Simmons. Action in the American League bullpen. Left-hander Mike Flanagan of the Baltimore Orioles starts to throw.
Rick Mundy is the 9th man to come to bat in the bottom of the 3rd inning for the National League. Mundy hit into a double play, his first time up. Back in the 2nd inning. High fly ball left field. Rice goes back. Jimmy still going back, makes the catch, and the inning is finally over. But it is a big inning for the National League. And after 3, we're all tied at 3. Will be the 3rd scheduled hitter. Then comes the pitcher spot. There's a strike. 1-1. Gently waving the flag in center field and blowing toward right. It is just collapsed. Sorensen is now in the bullpen for the American League. The Milwaukee right-hander who's having a brilliant year. 2-2 to Lynn. Here's Sorensen.
And the reason he's going right there is because your pitcher is in the 4th spot this inning.
That's fouled at the plate by Fred Lynn.
And in a game like this, when you've got the big squad, everybody an all-star, a manager doesn't worry about waiting until the late innings to pinch hit for the pitcher. He'll go through his whole staff, through his whole bench. And that's why Larry Sorensen is throwing right now, because Matt Keogh in the 9th spot would be the 4th man to hit this inning.
Well, what does he do in the 16th?
Bite your tongue. The record is 15.
Strokes it up the middle. Base hit. Bat came apart. Lynn turns and holds with a single as Foster chases him back. Watch this bat explode.
And this really explodes because he's got the handle. That ball hit right off the end of the bat, and that's all that Freddie Lynn has is a handle in his hand, as you look at former President Gerald Ford.
Batter is Don Money of the Milwaukee Brewers. Garvey will hold against Lynn. Money struck out. His first time up. Ball gets away from Simmons, rolls to the backstop, and Lynn takes second. Should be a pass ball. Looked like he had his glove on it.
That ball did hit him in the glove, Keith, and it appeared that it might have broke his strings, but it did not. It had that kind of effect, and you see it kind of sailing away. Simmons out late, and just off of the glove. He had the glove in kind of an awkward position, and we'll see how they rule it.
They call it wild pitch.
not go through that
Money hits it to the right side. Smith holds his ground, makes the catch. Lynn bluffs for third and leaves it alone. Good thinking.
Oh, yes, sir. That brings them to their feet here at San Diego Stadium. Of course, in the National League ballpark here, I would have to guess, Keith, that you would say this is a partisan National League crowd here.
I would have to say that, yeah. I would have to say every member of the Red Sox team is familiar with Reggie Smith, except the ones who've joined the team in just the last couple of years, as you watch Reggie again, because he used to electrify the fans at Fenway, Reggie, when a member of the Red Sox with that very kind of throw. Again and again and again. Complete ball player, as I said.
Fred Patek, the shortstop for the American League. Kansas City Royals pitch is high. 274 average on the season for Freddie, and they're the Patek family, Mrs. and the boys. Roy Howell of the Toronto Blue Jays, third baseman, out on deck. There's a hard fastball just hammered in there against Patek for strike one. So Howell is out to hit in the pitcher's spot. The Blue Jays third baseman. Time call. No pitch.
You saw Freddie Patek. He just didn't back out and think that time was going to be automatically called. He called it while he was standing there looking at Roger so that the home plate umpire, Paul Pryor, could hear him. Then Pryor called timeout.
One out. Lynn at second base. Chase Fred back. This fellow Rogers in 20 starts this season has averaged 7 2/3 innings. Ball hit sharply. Boa has it. Go to third. Got him.
I frankly don't understand Lynn on that play. The ball hit sharply and in front of him.
Well, he committed himself and he couldn't stop. He started to go. He knew right there he was wrong because the shortstop is going right towards where the play is going to be made. You see Whitey Herzog saying, get down. But the throw there, Rose makes the tag.
Can be unpredictable.
He can. He can pull a double switch, or he might just say, well, I'll gamble with a bat. There's no question about that.
Freddie has stolen 23, been caught 5 times. Rogers trying to keep him tight.
It'll be interesting to see the leg kick, the leg movement of Rogers, to see what might be going through Patek's mind.
Bluffs it, doesn't go. Pitch is blown away. Patek looking. Howell checking, looking at Whitey Herzog in the third base coaching box. Doesn't go. Time called. Howell stepping out. Top of the order scheduled next. That means Skaroo.
We've seen his act already.
It's been consistent. 2 triples.
Rogers playing catch with Garvey. Strike. 1-1 to Roy Howell. Where's Roy? He was at Texas, wasn't he, before?
That's right. He was down at Texas.
There he played for Martin. Yep. Two balls, 1 strike to the Blue Jay third baseman. Very deliberate moment in the ball game. All tied at 3-3. 2 by the American in the first inning. 1 in the third. National got 3 in the bottom of the third, and Howell has a full rip at a fastball. 2-2. Steve Rogers. Best way to describe him, I suppose, is competitor. Bulldog. There goes Patek. Pitch is foul back.
Now you saw Billy turn him loose when the count went 2-2. Giving Roy Howell a couple of shots to hit through that right side.
Holding. Steve has to move quickly into his defensive posture, and again Howell swinging, fouls it away. This time Patek not running.
You look at that Blue Jay logo right in the middle of that shirt. That is one of the all-time prosperous logos in baseball. That is amazing what that thing has sold in Canada.
Courtesy of Peter Babase.
Well, I'll tell you, they've got it on everything.
They do. 3-2. A remarkable concession sale up there last week. Just incredible.
There's nothing in Toronto without a Blue Jay on it, I don't believe.
3-2 pitch to Howell. Patek going. The ball is hit down to Garvey. Steve will do it himself. And so the inning is over. And we roll along after 3.5. 3-3 tie. I don't know. The colors are, of course, you trace the development of color in baseball back to Charlie Finley.
That's right.
Tom Lasorda in the dugout.
The diminutive and increasingly rotund skipper feeling better about things.
Old cricket arm. Rose hits it out to the left side, and Rice coming over near the line. Jimmy makes the catch for the second out. And here's Joe Morgan, who I suppose if it had his druthers as a pro baseball player would have been a member of the San Francisco Giants. But you don't always get your druthers
from that area. You talk about Tom Lasorda and that crooked arm. They had a nickname when he was playing. He always had that big overhand curveball, that Branch Rickey curveball. And they called him Snakes.
What a difference a year makes as you look at that stat.
That full stomach muscle, though, has really been a problem for him. 2 out. High to the left side. Third baseman coming over. Brett looks, and it's out of reach, and it ricochets off the shoulder or back of a cameraman.
You mentioned Lasorda's overhand curve and that crooked arm. He was once in a pitching duel against Herb Score of Cleveland. They were tied 0-0. He had allowed only 1 hit and 6, Score 2. He's feeling pretty good about things. Suddenly 2 men on base, and he threw that overhand curve to a third baseman named Al Rosen.
Goodbye.
They are still looking for the ball in Lake Erie. And Mr. Rosen is here in town as the president of the Yankees.
Boa off first, 2 out, 1 strike count on Morgan, and they'll chase Larry back. Sorensen did bounce it to the first baseman, Carew. Danny Ozark of the Phillies coaching at first. Chuck Tanner of the Pirates coaching at third. Morgan hits it high in the air to left field. Jim Rice coming in. Shortstop Patek going back. It is Patek with a catch. And the inning is over. So the National Leaguers strand a man, can't punch around, and we remain tied at 3-3 after 4 innings of play.
Ladies and gentlemen, number 24, White Evans.
You'll have an all Red Sox outfield then. You'll have Lynn in center, flanked by teammates Jim Rice in left and Dwight Evans in right. And ain't a bad outfield either.
The center fielder, number 15, George Munster.
4 Red Sox on the field right now as Carlton Fisk remains behind the plate. Rick Burleson might well have been there, except he's torn some ligaments, the outside part of his ankle. He's going to be laid up for 10 days at least, maybe 2 weeks or longer. Rick is here, however.
That's right. That injury hurt the youngster terribly. It occurred in the first inning of the game at Cleveland Sunday. Sliding it to second base. He assured Zip Zimmer, his manager, that it was fine, but Zip could see it swelling up.
Sorensen on the mound for the American League against George Foster for the National League. That ball punched over to the right side, and Frank White makes it look easy. One out.
There you saw the great range of Frank White. Frank will play a little bit deeper second base with nobody on than a lot of second basemen will, but he has such great range. And watch where he makes the play on this particular ball that Foster hits. He hits it off the end of the bat. There he is. He's out in the outfield grass to throw him out, and it makes it look just like a routine play.
Batter is Greg Luzinski with Raleigh Fingers of the San Diego Padres now up and throwing in the bullpen. A number by Luzinski. Frank White again right there. 2 down. It's a 1-4-3.
And there you had a chance to see White as he had to change his motion. He had to change his complete direction. That ball off of the glove. He's playing the ball back up the middle. Off of the glove of Sorensen. White now has to cut back. And another. Ho-hum.
But he's got that loose, rangy stride, covering more ground than you really think he's covering. He, of course, a product of Ewing Kaufman's old baseball academy.
Ewing says he can start it again.
Really? Yeah. If he can find more Frank Whites.
Batter is Steve Garvey. The All-Star voting in the National League. You can see Steve won big. That is foul.
I love to see that man hit to the opposite field. Few, if any, do it better and with so much power.
It was Garvey that delivered the base hit and 2 National League runs in that 3rd inning 3-run outburst.
Action in the National League bullpen. Right-hander Raleigh Fingers of the San Diego Padres throwing.
To Patek. Inning is over. So, score remains 3-3. We'll be back with more of the 78 All-Star Game after this word from our local stations. Playing out in left field will be Dave Winfield, also of the San Diego Padres. And Big David, very popular here. And they'll pick it up and call it for you as we go to the 6th. Here's Don Drysdale.
Okay, Keith, it'll be Carlton Fisk to lead it off. He'll be followed by Freddie Lynn and then Frank White in that order. I would guess that manager Tommy Lasorda, as he brings in a new pitcher, Raleigh Fingers, and Winfield, the left fielder, he will make a double switch. The pitcher was hitting in the 7th spot. Winfield will go into the 7th spot, and Fingers will go up into the 4th spot in Greg Luzinski's spot. Now, Carlton Fisk, who had a sacrifice fly his first time at bat, hit into a fielder's choice in the 3rd, so he's 0 for 1. Of course, these American League hitters are no stranger to Raleigh Fingers. Pops him up left side. Pete Rose and Larry Bohr. It's Larry Bohr saying he wants it, and that is out number 1. Here's the center fielder, Freddie Lynn. Fred has struck out, and he singled his last time at bat, a broken bat single up the middle. Vida Blue started. Then Steve Rogers came on, and now Raleigh Fingers, the 3 pitchers used by National League manager Tommy Lasorda. 1-0. One ball, 1 strike on the breaking pitch. The infield of Rose and Bohr on the left side with Morgan and Garvey on the right side. Good breaking pitch. 1-2. The outfield of Winfield, Foster, and Smith from left to right, and the battery of Ted Simmons and Raleigh Fingers. Two and 2. Fingers doesn't waste any time. He knows what he wants to do. He just gets it and throws it. Off of the glove, and here's Bohr. They go to Garvey in time. Now Raleigh Fingers helps himself out. Gets a glove on the line drive back through the middle. That ball hit hard. Raleigh taking a stab at it, but what he did, he saved himself a base hit. Deflects it to Larry Bohr, who very alertly pounces on it and throws the runner out.
Boa's got cat-like quickness. Boa's having a fine game. A couple of base hits, number of fielding chances, all handled flawlessly.
Here's the second baseman, Frank White. This is his first time at bat. Pops him up right side. It might be playable. It will be playable. There's Garvey. Out number 3. The American League is gone. 1, 2, 3. And we are still tied at 3. From the Texas Rangers moves in behind home plate to take over for Carlton Fisk. Boy, there's one of the fine young catchers in all of baseball. 1 ball, 1 strike. Now, what you see Sundberg having hanging down from that mask is what the Dodgers' Steve Yeager will use. There's Bob Uecker. But that hanging down just protects against the foul tips in the Adams apple. And boy, they can sting. Jams him. Starting back is Evans. He lost the ball, but makes a catch anyway. Well, we said it was hard to see. And that big swing of the bat, he got it up around the trademark a little bit in. Evans started back and had to come on to make a fine catch.
Just listen to the crowd as Winfield comes to the plate.
Dave Winfield hitting .299, 16 home runs, 62 RBIs on the year. We talked about what the Padre management did here, opening the gates for the workout yesterday, but Howard, this young man right here, did something that was equally as important.
More important. He ran a luncheon about 20 miles north of here as we looked at a ball for 1,000 disadvantaged kids. He is a tremendous human being. There you see, it's called Winfield Pavilion, and he's a tremendous all-around athlete.
There's Brett. In the hole, in the dirt, and a good play by Carew. Now, Rodney, we've seen what he could do with the lumber, showing you a little leather right here.
Well, watch this again. Brett didn't quite know what to do with it. The ball played him. Then he had to hurry the throw, and Carew is so versatile. Comes up.
Well, the secret here, the ball bounced on the grass far enough away from Carew that he made it just like a regular routine hop. And there it is. Here's Larry Boa. Boa's 2 for 2.
This year alone, Winfield has spent more than $20,000 for tickets for underprivileged youngsters. They're the ones who sit out there in Winfield's pavilion. Out of the University of Minnesota, sought after in 3 different sports. Tremendous man, that Dave Winfield.
Action in the American League bullpen. Right-hander Jim Kern of the Cleveland Indians throwing. That ball hit well. Evans coming on and makes a play. And play by the right fielder, Darrell Evans. So the National League gone 1, 2, 3 after 6 a 3-3 tie. A catcher coming out pretty soon, and that will be now. Rose Concepcion Morgan. There's
I mentioned
Ray Boone.
Yeah. Mentioned that his dad. Remember Ray Boone?
I do.
Detroit Tigers, father and son.
Ended up with the Milwaukee Braves.
Ray made the American League team in 54 and 56.
And now his son Bob dons the tools, and he'll go back behind the plate. And they'll face Freddie Patek to lead it off. Out on deck is Larry Heisel of the Milwaukee Brewers. To Patek. Pops him up foul. That'll be out of play. Bob Boone will hit in the 8th spot. Pitch by Finger. So Patek down swinging. That is the 5th National League strikeout, and here comes Larry Heisel.
Hottest player in the American League, just named Player of the Week. 4 home runs, 8 RBIs against the Yankees. The free agent who's coming through. So many have fallen by the wayside, afflicted by pressure, press, all the rest of it, but not Heisel. In that vein, I talked with Larry Heisel, and he's very expressive about the matter I've just talked about. Here's Larry. You're one of the players who has succeeded as a free agent. That much is already clear. Others have fallen prey to the pressures put upon them. How come you haven't?
Howard, you know, I've been trying to figure that out for a long time. Being a free agent, believe me, is more pressure than I've ever thought I could cope with. But for some reason, when I get on the field, maybe it's because late in my career, I've been able to adjust to pressure, to sometimes when the situation is needed to play hard, I've been able to give my best. I think maybe that's the reason, but believe me, I've realized what free agents have gone through in the past, and it's no joy.
Now there's Larry Heisel on first base. You saw him have a leg single. That ball hit to the hole that Concepcion made a good play, and it took all the speed of Heisel going down the line to beat it out. Here's his former teammate at Minnesota, Rod Carew. The base hit by Larry Heisel as Concepcion went deep to the hole. Look at that strong throw. One hop to Garvey, and Heisel just did beat it.
That's the kind of play, because it was a base hit, you don't think about after a game is over. But in its execution, it was a remarkable play. And there are some who think Concepcion is the best all-around athlete in the National League. Many baseball scouts feel just that way.
Well, he can play. There's no question about that. They count 2-1 now to Rod Carew, who tonight has set an all-star game record with 2 consecutive triples in the first and third inning. He scored 2 runs, and he bounced to short his next time at bat. So he is 2 for 3.
I'm sorry. Now, we've emphasized many times that Carew is the man of shifting stances. That's how he produces the most out of himself in terms of batting effectiveness. Switching positions within the batter's box.
Garvey to Concepcion for 1. Back to Garvey, not in time. Carew, as Don Zimmer's moved back over to first base, pulling that breaking pitch. Garvey to the hole, cutting it off. He goes to Concepcion, and the relay back not quite in time as Carew fools you with his speed. Now that'll bring on George Brett, who is 2 for 2. He doubled in the first. That scored a run. He had a sacrifice fly in the third to drive in another, and he singled in the 5th. There goes Carew. They get it. Boone to the shortstop, and the American League is gone here in the 7th inning. No runs on a hit, no errors, and they leave nobody. As we go to the last of the 7th, a 3-3 tie.
Listen up now to a point in the ball game where they've sifted their way through about half of the roster, I guess, and from here on they're going to have to be a little more selective in the people you're choosing, as we see Jim Kern now, the big right-hander from the Cleveland Indians, on the mound.
And big right-hander he is, and he can throw some heat as Reggie Smith doesn't get the fastball. We get some more action out in the National League bullpen, and it appears that is right-hander Bruce Sutter of the Chicago Cubs. Check swing foul. In the American League bullpen, there are the 2 Yankees. Rich Gossage, the right-hander. Ron Guidry, the left-hander. Boy, what a start Guidry had. 13 in a row, now 13-1 coming to the All-Star game. But this big guy, Kern, he can turn it loose. A record of 6-3, 7 saves. One and two. got the Kansas City infield on the left side with Brett and Patek. Their other half on the right side is White of Kansas City and Carew of the Minnesota Twins. The outfield, that is the infield of the American League. Look at where White is playing at second base. And Smith goes down swinging. Told you that Kern can bring up some heat. The outfield, all from the Boston Red Sox. Jim Rice in left, Freddie Lynn in center, and Dwight Evans in right field. There's Lynn, and there is Evans.
Larry Sorensen was tremendously impressive. Worked 3 innings, allowed only 1 hit.
This is Pete Rose. Now, right now, we're getting down to a time in the ball game where the managers start thinking a little bit on ending this thing, just maybe trying to steal a run somewhere along the line. There's Billy Martin. You see Don Zimmer, and the beach ball floats out onto the field. Well, we're in the right location.
Take another look at Zimmer. He swallowed the beach ball. So did Tommy.
Lasorda, right.
Tommy, whose wife Jo is here.
Down the right field line, we have Davey Lopes of the Dodgers and Ron Say of the Dodgers loosening up, so Tom Lasorda might make a change. There's Lopes at the bottom of your screen, Say at the top. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out of 3-3 tie. 1-2. Coming into this game, what would you say, Howard?
25-game hitting streak. Batting .390, as you can see, during that streak.
Hmm. 2-2. Down the left field line, walking into the down towards the American League dugout, Bruce Sutter, so he might be coming on and taking over for Raleigh Fingers. There's Bruce standing along the sideline.
Fingers really did a job. Pitched like he was back in the old Oakland title days.
Hit well to the corner. It'll be extra bases. Down to the bullpen as Rice chases it around, gets it back into Patek, and Pete Rose is at second base with a stand-up double.
Center field camera. Rose going with the pitch. Snap wristing it right down the left field foul line into the corner. So technically, even if though the league records don't show it, he's hitting 26 straight games.
That's right, and we have a runner now for Pete Rose at second base. The Dodgers, Davey Lopes will go in and run for him. Here's Joe Morgan. Joe Morgan a chance to stand alone in the consecutive game hitting streak. Morgan tonight is 0 for 2. Has struck out, walked, and scored, and popped to short. Base hit right here, and he bypasses Mickey Mantle. I'll tell you one thing, they better keep an eye on Davey Lopes. He had a jump and a half off of that bag at second base. See Patek trying to keep him close, and Kern giving him a double look.
Hey, Lasorda, we're sick of Dodgers!
2 balls and no strikes to Morgan. Brett back behind the bag at third. You see Patek now is cheating a little bit to his left. He was not over there to start with. There's the third baseman, Brett. But he's got to get a good jump with that catcher behind the plate, Jim Sundberg. He's got a gun. Here's Evans. Let's see if he challenges his arm. Lopes tags. And no, sir. Words around on Mr. Dwight Evans. He will not go to third.
No right fielder, but no right fielder in baseball positions himself better for the forthcoming throw. as he awaits the ball than Dwight Evans.
Well, we've seen him make some plays on
That's half the secret to his arm. There are people who can throw even harder than Dwight, although he's got a great and powerful arm.
Billy Martin going to the mound, and he will chat with Kern, Frank White, and Jim Sundberg. Of course, Billy managed Sundberg at Texas. You've got the hitter, George Foster. You've got first base open. Foster, an excellent fastball hitter. And the man hitting in the fourth spot, the way the lineup has turned over, it's the pitcher's spot. That is Raleigh Fingers. We've already seen Bruce Sutter go into the National League dugout. It appears that he will come on and take over for Fingers, so Tommy Lasorda undoubtedly will go to the bench. And we'll see what happens here. That's the story. A 3-3 tie. 2 outs in the National League 7th. Foster tonight is 0 for 2. He walked in the third and scored.
Count your fingers, George. That almost nipped it.
George Foster says, wait a minute now. Let me just gauge that thing one more time. He had a pretty good rip at that.
He is a frightening hitter.
Now the count, a ball and a strike with 2 outs. The go-ahead run out at second base in the Dodgers, Davy Lopes. And he can motor. There's Davy. And, of course, with 2 outs, he'll be going on anything. And they won't take any chances. They just saw that swing and said, why are we doing this? Let's see what Mr. Lasorda will do as he goes to the bench. Who's over there that can hit better than this guy? Now that's ball 3 outside.
Wilbur Stargell is over there.
Oh, that's all. You might see that big number 8 come out of that National League dugout. We'll wait and see. There he is. Here comes Wilbur Stargell. He was telling me yesterday, Keith and Howard, that I said, how far have you hit a ball here? He said, well, we had a workout one day, and he said, I was just playing around, just really trying to see how far I could jack one. And he said, I managed to clear the scoreboard 1 time. That's all. Well, you sit here at San Diego Stadium, you look at that scoreboard out there. That takes a whole bunch of power to clear that thing.
Only trouble with the story is I don't believe him.
No, I double-checked on it. Now Stargell coming on, hitting .290 on the year. He has 13 home runs and 40 RBI. And now Billy Martin will go to the mound, and he just points to the left arm, says, let me have the left-hander, Ron Guidry. Now this is where Martin put Lasorda in the spot, and of course Tom Lasorda can turn around, and he can switch right here if he wants to.
He can go to Jeff Burroughs, who's a bit of a long ball threat himself, isn't he?
Just a bit. Well, right now we have a pitching change, and let's go down to Bob Uecker and his guest. 1,549. That's the largest ever for a baseball game at San Diego. And here's Wilbur Stargell. This will be power to power. Davy Lopes, the tie-breaking run at second base. George Foster is at first base. A 3-3 tie in the National League 6th inning. 1-1 the count. I'll never forget the exhibition he put on at Shea Stadium. I think that was about 1964. He just kept hitting them off of that scoreboard in Shea Stadium. Each one was higher. Off of the shin guard, getting away from Sundberg, and the runners will advance. Somebody's got to cover home plate. And now they finally get there as Lopes, he rounded the bag. Chuck Tanner was way down the line waving him on. And it was George Brett and Guidry remembered what he had to do.
Right. You mentioned Stargell in his home run capacity as we look at this again, right off the shin guard. Watch. No, heel of the glove.
Off the heel of the glove and bounced over. That ball seemed like it might have taken off a little bit on Sundberg. And now Jimmy very alertly getting on that ball, or Lopes would have scored. That is a pass ball. 2-1 to count. 3-1.
Shea Stadium, a favorite ballpark of Startle's, as you were saying, Don. In fact, he hit the first home run ever hit at Shea Stadium.
Guidry and Stargell go right to the wall. The count, 3 balls and 2 strikes. Lopes at third with Foster at second and a 3-3 tie. High to left center. It's playable. There's Freddie Lynn. And that is out number 3. The National League is gone. And we'll be back with more of the 1978 All-Star Game after this word from our local stations. Third baseman, that is Ron Say. The second baseman, who ran for Pete Rose, is Davy Lopes. That's the shortstop, Davy Concepcion, still in short. There's Lopes, the second baseman. Now, right now, we go to the 8th inning of play, and Keith, take it away.
Jack Clark is in right field, Don. The San Francisco Giants, fine young player who's meant so much to them this year. But we're looking right now at Bruce Sutter as he's pitching to George Brett. And he has him at 1-2 with that funny split-fingered pitch that he fancies and does so well with.
When you get a pitch from him above the knees, it's a victory.
Brett beats it on the ground, foul.
You get some great camera shots here from our guys on that center field camera to watch that ball go down that Sutter's throwing. The pitch just before the last one here that Brett fouled off. That thing really, the bottom fell out of that thing. It was unbelievable.
Davy Lopes will be hitting in the number 1 spot, the leadoff right. There's his Mrs. Bruce Sutter there. So Tom Lasorda finagling his roster around, keeps speed at the top. In Lopes, that's rolled on the ground to Davy. He throws to his teammate Steve Garvey, and one's out. 3/4 of the infield, Dodgers with Say, Lopes, and Garvey, and Concepcion at shortstop.
The Cubs collapsed a year ago in the later stages of the pennant race. Of course, traces directly to the injury to Sutter. Franks, as manager, doesn't ever stop talking about Bruce.
Jim Rice up, facing Sutter now, takes high ball 1.
That's the first pitch he had up. Look at that.
That's a tough pitch. Look at that thing again. Watch the bottom fall out of this.
It's illegal. Sutter named the National League Player of the Week for the July 3rd through the 9th period. Pitched in 5 games, did not permit a run, had 5 saves, allowed 4 hits in 8 innings, and struck out 9. Jim Rice home run ball has been elusive for him over the last...
No, he switched his tactics. He's hitting triples.
Yeah, that's right. Something different. Stretch his legs. 3-3 ball game. We're in the top of the 8th inning for the American League, and Sutter has just struck out Jim Rice. That's the second time tonight National League pitchers have been able to strike out Rice swinging.
Well, there goes the bottom again. Watch it fall out of this pitch.
Number 24, Dwight Evans.
Remarkable, isn't it?
You think they yelled at me.
Here's Dwight Evans, Red Sox outfielder, hitting .286. His next home run will be his career high. Swing and a miss. Sutter's a quick worker, too. That's high.
That's the second pitch. He's gotten up belt high.
Jimmy Sundberg on deck. Bounces. 2-1. I suspect that Sutter and Fingers got to be among the quickest workers around, because both of them just take the ball and throw it back at you.
This is a really well-played all-star game.
It's a good played game.
Pace has quickened ever since the National League achieved the tie. Pitch pitches took over. Fingers and Sorensen, very effective.
Suter now at 3-1 to Evans, 3-2.
In the late innings, you can see Ron Say, the third baseman. He's just about a big giant step off the line. He's guarding the line against the extra base hit. They'll give him the single through the hole, but even Concepcion has swung over.
Suter strikes out Evans. So Suter comes in. The American League goes in order. And we continue after 7.5, 3-3. Open this Saturday on ABC, and on July 22nd, 23rd, we'll have the U.S. Women's Open from the Country Club of Indianapolis. Rich the Goose Gossage is on now. 2.31 earned run average, 1-loss record, but he has 12 saves, and Greg Nettles of the Yankees has now gone to third. Came out here with a sore toe and didn't expect him to play, but he's in there. Left field, you have Chet Lemon of the Chicago White Sox, who is a good one. So those are changes for the American League defensively, with Steve Garvey standing at the plate. Davy Concepcion was on deck. Garvey fouls it away, and it's 1-1. Knocked in 2 runs tonight for the National League. Swings and misses. It's 1-2.
Nobody throws it harder than Gossage. Generally speaking, he's been about what the Yankees expected when they paid all that money for him in the free agent market. But he is developing a distressing habit for the Yankees of throwing a home run ball.
Garvey hits it high, deep to right, way back. It is off the wall. Garvey will have 2. He'll go for 3 as it ricochets back. And Steve Garvey stands at third with a triple, just missed the home run.
Just speak of it, and it almost happens. And remember, we talked about Garvey's power to the opposite field. At this point in time, Garvey, as we look at this hit again, is the key offensive player in the game. His single, with the bases loaded, tied the game for the National League.
And a good hustling play by the right field umpire, Larry McCoy, who was out there to call it, and Garvey didn't take anything for granted. He was running all the way.
And so the leadoff man stands at third for the National League, with David Concepcion at the plate and Dave Winfield in the on-deck circle. And an opportunity here for the National League to break the tie in the bottom of the 8th inning. The Cincinnati shortstop will have a brief moment with Chuck Tanner, who's coaching at third base for the National League. The extra inning games, there have been 7. The National League has won all of them. Extra innings. Right now, a big opportunity to break the tie. Pitch almost gets away. It is flagged down by Sundberg, and that's an apt description. Flagged it.
And he can do that, Keith, with the best of them. I'll tell you, there's not too many hockey goalies that can bounce around as well as Jimmy Sundberg. Look at that. You think that isn't a tough pitch to handle? Oh, brother. There's an all-star play.
Ball 2 to Concepcion. Gossage coming into the ball game immediately whips that ball past 90 miles an hour. The ball comes to the backstop. Wild pitch, run scores. National League leads it 4-3.
It's been that kind of year for Billy Martin, hasn't it?
Well, there was a case right there of Gossage just trying to throw it as hard as he can. He's not even close, and Sundberg has no chance whatsoever. And you see Concepcion saying, come on, let's go. No play at the plate. The National League leads 4-3.
I would say a very good candidate for MVP right now becomes Steve Garvey.
No question. Key offensive player of the game.
Concepcion is scored. That brings up Winfield. National League has won 14 out of 15. They've won 6 in a row, and here's a home run hitter, Dave Winfield. But he'll carry you to all fields, and you can see what he has done since June 10. 4-3 3, National League, breaking the tie. Shot to left center field. That's up the alley. Lemon over. Chetnick kicks it. He kicked it. Concepcion will go to third. And into second goes Dave Winfield.
Well, we'll see how they score it. But I'll tell you, that ball was kissed. You could have hung all the wash in San Diego on that one. And Lemon got over to make a good play on it the way it was to hold it there. But then he boots it. But that ball was really hit. And Concepcion made the turn at second. He knew it was a base hit. It bounced away. He went to third. Winfield hustling all the way to second base.
So the National League now with a chance to break it open. Winfield at second and Concepcion at third, and nobody out, and a run is in. It's a single and an error on Lemon. Nobody out, and here's Bob Boone, the National League catcher from the Philadelphia Phillies. That one almost got away again. Sundberg's getting the workout. Gossage, very wild since coming in. And here comes Herzog to the mound. There's Mrs. Concepcion and son.
Interesting that Billy sent Whitey out this time.
It is interesting. And I would have to think that Whitey Herzog is saying, hey, now let's stop and think a little bit. Just don't stand out here and just throw this thing as hard as you can and not have any idea. Let's have some kind of an idea, as you see Flanagan of the Baltimore Orioles throwing in the American League bullpen.
That's just outside.
If Steve Garvey gets the MVP, it won't be the first time as we look at 41. Tommy Seaver warming up in the National League bullpen.
There's a strike.
Steve won the Commissioner's Trophy, you'll recollect, Keith, back in '74.
Yep. Here he got a right-in ballot. Stroked up the middle. That'll get 2 more home. Here's Concepcion coming to the plate. Dave Winfield pumping home. National League's come up with 3 runs here in the bottom of the 8th inning to lead it 6-3. 2 runs batted in for Bob Boone.
That's the Commissioner's Trophy, the one we were just talking about. And the American League has to be Snake Pit. As I look at Lee McPhail, not presently visible on our screen. Downcast expression. American League had gotten off to a 3-0 lead in this one, remember, when Jim Palmer blew in the third.
Ron Say is at the plate now, facing Gossage, and there's Super Chicken having himself a time tonight. Low. 2 balls, no strikes to the Dodger third baseman, now playing third base for the National League All-Stars.
Oh, it doesn't make any difference how hard you throw. If you get behind and then have to come in there, these guys can hit it.
Past the mound. Nettles the play, and Greg gets him. Well, they finally get 1 out.
He was really jammed with this, trying to hole up, and then sends a little chopper down, and he can't get out of the box, down in the dirt. That's when you want to take a right turn and run right over in the dugout and get a seat.
Tommy John has now joined Tom Seaver in the National League pen. Mike Flanagan in the American League pen. Punch to right by Davey Lopes. It's in there for a base hit. Here's Boone turning to the plate, and he scores, and it's 7-3.
Now this pitch is in on him, and Davey just kind of insides out the ball a little bit, just sends a little flare to right field. Evans had to get over, and by the time the ball got to him and he got to the ball, he had no chance to get Boone. The ball was cut off to hold Lopes at first.
And no move right now by the American League management to make a change with Mike Flanagan in the bullpen for Oriole left-hander.
Well, this has to be a simply dreadful experience for Gossage. Look at Martin. happening to his own pitcher.
Jack Clark swings and misses.
Billy Field snake bit. Everything going wrong for him this year.
Outside with that one, 1-1.
Well, here's a good-looking young ball player right here, and Jack Clark of the San Francisco Giants. He has come on and come into his own, and he can be around for a while, too.
There's a strike, and it's 1-2. One out. Lopes at first base, and 4 runs across for a 7-3 National League lead. Strike. Is gone. That's 2 with Garvey and Lasorda sitting together in the dugout.
Dodger Blue. That's what Don Drysdale said at the very top of our telecast, and Dodger Blue has dominated tonight offensively and has certainly manifested itself this inning.
George Foster looks at a fastball. It might be awesome to see Foster connect with a Gossage fastball on the button.
Oh, boy. Now, there you look at Davy Lopes at first base. His stats on attempted steals and successful steals.
Matter of fact, I think he's got 25 in a row, doesn't he?
He might have something like that.
Got caught the first time and then took off. 2-1 to George. Two out. There goes the throw through. He's out. Well, how do you do? Davy Lopes gunned down on a fine throw by Sunbird.
And you look at it again. Davy Lopes won't believe he's out.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention, please.
But he is, and it's now 7-3 National League.
Number 30, Jason Thompson.
7-3, the National League. The American League coming to bat in the top of the 9th inning. And Jason Thompson, first baseman for the Detroit Tigers, is at the plate. Another one of the brilliant young players in baseball, and Detroit will have this horse around to pull the wagon for quite a while.
He had a home run at Yankee Stadium recently as he fouls one off that I simply couldn't believe. It just kept going and going and going straight up into the center field seats. It was reminiscent of the kind of blow Mickey Mantle used to hit.
He's out of the San Fernando Valley, north of Los Angeles, went to school at Cal State Northridge. Bruce Sutter on the mound, the Chicago Cubs, brilliant right-hander. And he's now become the pitcher of record. Rich Gossage, the pitcher of record for the American League. It is a big 7-3 lead for the Nationals here in the top of the 9th inning. Goss is charged with 4 earned runs. Thompson strokes it to right center, way back, drifting over, and making the catch, George Foster. Ball didn't carry as well as I thought it might.
This becomes a heavy ball here in San Diego, Keith, as night wears on. Don and I discussed it in an earlier game we had here.
Well, that's very true. At the start of this ball game, the ball has a tendency to carry well.
Fred Land hits it high and deep to left center field over his Winfield at the track, makes the catch, 2 down.
Now there's a case of being in another ballpark. Where do you think that is on the Green Monster in Fenway?
In the screen.
You got the people standing on their feet there.
Here comes Darrell Porter now out of the dugout with the bat. Kansas City catcher. Darrell Porter.
Well, it's all right for the American League to keep saying an all-star game is not a test of league strength. It's all right for the American League, through Billy Martin this time around, to say the World Series is the real test. in perfect truth as we look at Tom Lasorda come out to talk to his pitcher and his catcher. Probably neither is a real test of the respective strengths of the leagues. But when you lose 15 out...
Lasorda brings in Atlanta right-hander knuckleballer Phil Niekro.
Well, I think, Keith, right here, what Tom Lasorda did, the people saw him walk out, talk to Bruce Sutter, and I'm sure that Tommy said, hey, you want to finish it? If you want to finish it, you can stay right here. If you don't want to finish it, if you don't mind me bringing in Niekro, here's a man that's getting up in age, and he's been on an all-star squad before, but he's only pitched one inning. There's Tommy Lasorda, Chuck Tanner laughing there on the winning side. He said, I'll bring him in. And you saw Bruce Sutter shrug and shake his head and say, no, I don't care. And so here's another man that gets a chance to see some active play in an all-star game.
So the veteran knuckleballer, who's flirting with 40, will be pitching to Darrell Porter. I'll tell you, if he gets his dancer going, he can just flat wear you out. You just knock holes in the air all night long with that thing. Ball one. Eddie Murray is in the on-deck circle. Porter hits it high in the air, and Eddie won't get a call. Say comes in foul ground, makes the catch, and the ball game is over. And the most valuable player in the Sporting Life All-Star game right there in the middle of your screen. We'll be back for the presentation in just a few moments. The final score, National League 7, the American League 3, back after this message and a word from our local station.